Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to this Cosa Nostra radio production. Cosa Nostra is a family unit located on allpoetry.com. Allpoetry.com, the world's largest poetry community. We want to thank Kevin and the crew for giving us a place to call home and hang our hats. The content and opinions of the people, the callers, and the hosts do not necessarily reflect the beliefs and opinions of Cosa Nostra ownership and management. Enjoy this Cosa Nostra programming.
Hello.
Okay,
Hey.
that was professional, huh? Hey.
Yeah, thanks so
How are
much,
you?
Jay, for recording that for us.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah, hey everybody. So nice to spend this Friday evening with you. I was going to say this freezing Friday evening, but I'm sure it's not the same in the Northern Hemisphere.
I'll trade you.
Yeah, I see that C. Brown's on the board. Don't know if you've got any callers, Boo.
No, not yet. That's because there's another show going on. We're like another show, but we'll get there. There is somebody on hold. Will you grab right now? Let's see.
Hey, Boo.
660. Who's this? Hey, Rosie.
Hi, Boo. This is Candy Brown. How are you?
Hey, Sandy. How are you, my friend?
Doing good.
I'm glad you came by. Every time I ask you, you show up. Go figure. Pretty cool.
Yep. I'm here. I just popped on.
How are you doing?
Well, we're
you
doing
today?
okay. How's everybody there? Missouri's. We're in Missouri, and we're starting to get hit with that variant around here. But we're
really?
good. Yeah,
that's
I think
good.
we're one of the. Yeah, we're vaccinated, but a lot of folks aren't, and it's starting to hit us pretty good right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Well, Rob's freezing over there in South Africa, if you can believe it.
Oh, really? No kidding.
You don't
Yeah,
think
so
South Africa's freezing, do you?
It's been like 15 degrees in some parts, so.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, we've had some pretty warm. It's been close to 90 here.
Yeah,
here too. He's
Sounds
like,
good.
Where are you at, Boo? Whereabout are you at?
I'm in
Little Boo?
California.
Oh, okay.
I'm in California.
Are you having fires out there?
we're always having something burning out here. So there's something burning or, torch. It's just crazy because it's so dry.
Mhm.
And, but as far as I know, not anywhere around me, but not yet anyway.
Yeah, that's good. We had family that was down around San Bernardino, and we stayed out there for a while. Oh, it's been some years back, but it was a pretty nice spot. And
it's pretty nice. It's just it's expensive here. That's the problem.
Mhm.
So, Rob, you want to start with Miss Candy, since she's the caller?
Yeah, sure thing. I just want to say good evening to Marius on the board as well. So nice to have you. And then I'll drop that. Will you read that for us, Candy?
Hey, Candy, we want to know why it's your favorite poem. Why it's your favorite poem.
I don't know that it's necessarily my favorite, because that's always kind of a hard thing to answer. But it is one of my latest ones that I got gold on. I think we all have some of our favorites, but I read through most of these briefly just before, and I have to say, I can see why they all won gold. They were all excellent. And, so I think I made a note here that says, poetry is an emotion that we recognize within our... Oh, I'm sorry. There's a noise going on. Is that me?
No, that's probably me. Let me mute. Sorry.
I said poetry is an emotion that we recognize within ourselves, and then we say, oh, yeah, I've been there. I feel it, too. I think that's the way I felt reading all of these earlier. And on my piece, the inspiration that I prompted me to write this particular one was basically, and it's called Castaway. When I think I can't make it, something gives me strength. This past year, with this COVID going on and so many people was, isolated, I think we all felt like that we were a castaway, hoping somebody was going to come along and save us and get us out of this. And that's kind of where I came from on this piece that I wrote. Do you want me to?
Well, listen, humanness.
Sorry. Do you want me to go ahead and read it, then?
Yes, please.
Okay. An Orient ambiance lends backdrop to a lonely sailor's bobbing bottle, desperately foraging for an equator's equilibrium, like an old ghost ship lost among sizzling sundowns, now and then a humpback spouting in sync with the slow hiss of western blaze. Life hasn't altered much here at Earth's beginning or its ending, whichever side you're gazing at it from, an ardent azure rising o'er the next horizon, whose placid presence penetrate to forget. Space, the vacant sea, a non-present existing as an incalculable, silent blanket extending beyond comprehension. Death is a bright, breathing boredom, caged as a sick loon conversing with oneself within mind's disoriented, abstract, glass-like canvas. An insignificant accent seems undeniable, as even sea foam taunts, morosely menacing day and night, till heart's withered chambers ache to be seduced by fresh hope, like a neglected mistress, old and tired of the game. As if fate tosses one final favor onto sand's shifting pebbled plate, a silver slimmered glimmer rises off the horizon, moving closer and closer. Desperation clings, evoking disbelief, yet thankful plea is croaked into sun-baked air, as nearby seagulls squawk loudly, announcing the seafaring savior. The end.
Great read.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for sharing that. And yeah, like you said, it's one of the newer ones and so very topical and relevant. Especially what you said before you started, I think is what I thought even in the beginning of the, or when it started spreading outside of China and you start going into lockdowns and all that, I just thought about Camus' book, The Plague, which, you know, is so frightening almost. Well, I mean, it's happened before in history, so it's quite easy to see where he was going with that. But the quite frightening thing is now that it's almost getting back to normal, how that part replicates what he was writing about, how people just sort of, I mean, all the small things, you know, that people, how they kept themselves busy in those times, not even, you know, doing all these things that you should be doing, reflecting, having some sort of perspectives about how you were before, and then make the relevant changes. And then obviously it just at the end, when it is finally over, that it just goes back to normal and no one's really made those changes, which is obviously quite disturbing, I would say, at least. I love this poem, the way that you've used a lot of the sort of oceanic references and metaphors, and it's almost painting-like, the way that you've set the landscape and done it so beautifully. As you said before, we probably should have said something about that to introduce the show, as you'd usually do in a show, that these are all people host contests on the site, and obviously, as all contests or competition goes, there's gold, silver, as the Olympics are starting now, and these are all poems that have won in the competitions that they've entered them into. So, as you can see, it's obviously, and with something like poetry that's sometimes quite subjective, that the fact that when you get quite a large majority of people finding it that good, and the relatability, and as I said in the beginning, the topical nature of this and the relevance is quite, you know, it's striking, to say the least. Lovely read, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for that awesome comment. Thank you.
It's such a pleasure. Thanks for sharing this with us. You know, we couldn't have these shows without, you know, you sharing your art with us and everyone who listens.
Yeah, thanks for doing the shows, both of you. I enjoy coming on.
Great to have you. Yeah, Boo, what do you think of that lovely poem?
Oh, sorry. I like the way you have it broken up. Like, each paragraph you tell a little story in itself, and it's not all like jumbled together. It doesn't give me like a headache, you know, like sometimes when you read the poetry. And then the metaphor with the ocean, and it's really fascinating. It's almost like, I want to say like a lullaby, if it makes sense, but like a story book that you tell as you go along. And I'm going to tell you my favorite part. How I think we're all like wanting human connection. I think this year we've all missed out on a lot of human connection and humanness and conversation, and we've all been locked up for far too long. And it shows, and I personally feel it in more ways than one. But the way that you say it's like a mistress, and like a neglected mistress, old and tired of the game. I think we're all kind of getting there. We're old and we're over it. The whole scare tactic, the whole sickness. But you have it with the ocean, you know. Onto sand, ships and pebbles, plate over glimmers, horizon. Like at the end, you still have hope that we're going to get through this, and you're going to see that sailor is going to be saved somehow. And then I hope that right? I think it's time
That's
for us
exactly
to move
right.
on. It's so exhausting, you know.
That's exactly right.
You,
no matter how.
I was locked up myself with COVID, and it totally sucked. And I didn't think that I would get it at all because I'm around sickness all the time. But here you go.
Right.
So now I'm even more locked up. And I want to swim that ocean. I want to sail those waves, and I want to ride with that sailor and ride into something other than this. You know, and I think that you portrayed it here so beautifully and uniquely and creatively.
Thank you. I think, you know, no matter how bad things get, I think there's something within all of us that clings to hope that, you know, we want to get back to normal. We want to get back to life. Just like a castaway who's always constantly looking for that ship out there on the horizon to come. You know, we're all wanting to get back to normality.
And believing that ship exists. You know, I have to believe that ship exists. You know,
exactly.
That's all we got.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So, and I hope for everybody that we all can find that silver lining at the end of this. Who knows where it's going to be, but you know, we have to keep hoping, and that we all make it through this. And you know, thanks a lot for the awesome comments, both of you.
Beautifully written. But you're a good writer anyway. I already knew that long ago. But
you guys are too, all of you. And everybody's a little different. It has their own perspective about things, and that's what makes it all really cool, you know, because everybody's got a little different aspect of how they see things, and that's what makes poetry.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just want to add a last thought, actually. I was thinking about this because there is so much to unpack in this, and even, you know, I'm personally a massive admirer of symbolism, both as a visual art movement and or in literature. And the idea of either the archetype or the direct religious reference to, both, you know, the ocean and the arriving of a savior, as if, you know, Jesus Christ in the Christian faith walking on water. And in some aspects, it alludes to what this time should represent, almost that for the rebirth, and this is across, you know, it's not specific to faith or any religion or ideology, but you have to go through the suffering. You have to have the death of maybe the ego or the self to develop and to grow and, you know, obviously reach enlightenment or salvation or whatever it is that people believe.
Right.
And a lot of the other things that have come out in the pandemic that can be taken as positives with some regard, the focus on mental health and how, you know, that even prior to COVID has been such a massive issue that might have been overlooked, and now it's really been in the focus because people have slowed down obviously so much.
Sure.
And awesome. So we'll move on.
Okay, I've been unmuted, so I'd like to ask a question. Hello. Okay. What's the protocol for being able to read a poem on the air?
Well, it just has to be, you know, nothing that's dirty, you know. Actually, I can go in the green room and explain if you like. But, you know, use common sense and adult, nothing vulgar, nothing sexual. And that's pretty much it.
Can I come back, like, say, can I come back either next time or in 15 minutes and read a poem if there's time?
We got 2 more hours, my dear, so you can call us back.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, cool. Because I didn't know if I had to send it to Poe Man, have it be read, reviewed, judged, etc. before I got on the air. So here I can just call in, and if I have a poem ready, and if there's time, then I can read it then.
Sure.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you much. I'll
good?
see if I can.
You're welcome.
See if I can get my poetic.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Hey, Rack, is that you?
Hey, yeah. You may want to mention, avoiding politics and religion, because we generally don't talk about that too much on the air.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that, dude. He just called.
You're not allowed to talk about religion or politics?
Not that you're not allowed to.
No.
We kind of, we dance around it a little bit. I mean, you just heard Rob mention Jesus Christ. It's not that we don't. It's more of a personal thing, We try and avoid the controversy of it. I mean, we're it's cool. It's cool with sensual and everything else, but not over the top. And we try and keep things within a certain time frame to keep the show moving. But as far as
right.
And again, that also is why we avoid religion and politics. Because you mentioned politics, some people they'll talk for 20 minutes and then not even realize it, and that really sparks a lot of conversation. So, I mean, it's not that we don't do political stuff. We mention, I mean, there's a couple of us that can't write without mentioning politics. Oh man, but it's good fun. It's the metaphor and the art.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, even if people do have different points of view about what the political climate is today, as long as the poetry is within a certain structure where the poetry can be delivered properly. Somebody can appreciate.
We comment on. We definitely talk about the social status and what's going on in the world. Oppression and the way people are treated in certain parts of the world and things like that. But anyway.
Yeah, I think if I may, what essentially is the baseline is that it's no extremist or far-leaning views that might be hateful or incite some sort of violence, as what would be normal laws. But as Rak was saying, we obviously it's part of art that you comment on social fabric and all that, but just no extremist views we try to avoid for obvious reasons. But yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the extremist view that I can understand would be the inciting to violence, but there are people who are Trump haters and Trump supporters, and I would still think that the poetry, if it's within a particular structure, if it's delivered well, then people should comment on the way that the poem is delivered as opposed to the political view itself.
That's the art of what we try and do. Some people can't avoid commenting on the content rather than the construction. So yeah.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
Strike the chord. It's a personal thing. You'll read something and and rather than say it was wonderfully this and I love the rhyme and the people will just hang on that one word. Oh, you mentioned Trump and that's it, and they'll just off about oh my God, that man in the office. I mean. It's all individual personalities, who's on the air, and everything else. It's a very organic experience.
Yeah, okay. Because see, relationships and politics are my bailiwicks, so I'll see if I can get some poetic juices standing up within me, and then I'll call back. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, hey, Rak, welcome.
Hey.
Nice to have you as per usual.
How you doing?
Yeah, a bit cold, but otherwise doing well. Nice to be with everyone. I think, as Candy also said, it's nice to spend the evening like this, especially with the lockdowns and everything, not being able to do much. This is quite that tribalism and that sense of community is always important for ourselves and our state of mind or spiritual self or whatever. So doing well. How are you doing?
Dealing with it, like you said, that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
This nonsense is like really trying.
It's starting to wear on your nerves. Starting to wear on your wrong with it.
All right. So
Rob,
I was going to do Marius next because he's on the board and hanging out with us.
Okay.
So I'll drop that on. And you got a SoundCloud for that, yeah?
I suppose I do, yes.
It's called All I Want Is Here With Me.
Okay. Should be in order, so let's see. Oh, okay. Ready.
All I want is the sparkles from your eyes in the cold days of winter, your smile in the early mornings of spring. All I want is the same flame we started 31 summers ago. All I want is blue butterflies to fly and golden birds to sing. I want the leaves you softly walk on. I want to hear your whisper in the fall. I want your hand when we walk the alleys. I want your heart, your soul, your all. I want the lilies from your shiny hair and the roses from your lips. I want your breath. I want your touch. I want your rest, your dream, your sleep. I want your laughter and your cry, to kiss your cheeks when tears run down. I want the sun, the moon, the sky. I want your love, the greatest crown. All I want is here with me. It's true. I cannot put in rhyme your word, but I can tell you, I love you. I'm blessed. The happiest man on earth.
Oh, wow. I think Marius, whoever that's for, is also quite a lucky one because that's some steamy romance that you've expressed there. The music, and I hope everyone listening has got the lights turned down low, and I love the way that it starts. Touching on all the seasons, it expresses a sense of a deeper love than just some sort of maybe infatuation or a fling that might be like you get a summer fling or something that it's a year-round thing. It's all-encompassing, and then all the other sensory expressions in the second stanza, and the way that it develops like that, that it encompasses all of life and all the aspects that you might encounter in a coupling or a relationship, whatever you call it these days. But yeah, lovely, and really, not with romantic poems, sometimes it can be a bit, like Hallmark-esque, to put it that way, but it's really sentimental, and you can, especially when you have the right read it as well, you always get the essence of it expressed. So that was also amazing, and yeah, thanks so much for sharing that with us and hanging out with us on the board. Awesome, Marius. Back, what did you think of that? You feeling the love?
For me, love is definitely about sharing hopes and dreams, and what you want for the person is a big part. And a lot of times we try living up to that, and he's making some big promises, like you say. I want what are the things that he wants for this person that he loves, and he's expressing it beautifully. And like you mentioned, that the music and everything else, it was really quite romantic. He did a great job. He did a great job with it. He did.
Yeah, it actually just it reminds me. There's a song by a English band called Codaline. I think the song's name. Sorry, my grandfather clock. It's called All I Want, which if you haven't heard that, I definitely recommend it. And the music video is also quite artistic as well. Yeah, that's a lovely song. And this is a lovely poem. Boo, what did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, what lady wants to do this? I mean, I like the whole thing, but I want the lilies from your shiny hair and the roses from your lips. I want your breath. I want your touch. I want your rest, your dream, your sleep. You're right. I mean, he wants it all. He's like more than ready for it, and he's steadfast and really convincing, and you can feel the want and the desire and the love here. I'm blessed, the happiest man on earth, and he's content. And to have all this, well, if you have all this, you should really hold on to it, because it's hard to find, it's hard to come by. Beautifully done, and he has one lucky life.
Absolutely. Is Candy still with us?
Yes, I'm still here.
Yay.
And yay! I thought this was very reminiscent. I thought this was very reminiscent of Pablo Neruda, who had a unique way of expressing love, a beautifully unique way of really tapping into the expression of love, which is the most written about topic of emotion, and rightfully so, because we all want that special love like he talks about here, and these quatrains that were so well put together in a beautiful rendition that we enjoyed with the music in the background. I thought I really enjoyed the read of it too, and I like that picture. Obviously, with him when he was first married, apparently, the 31 summers ago. So I can see what So it was very heartfelt and emotional.
And 31 years later, still in love. That says a lot right there, too.
That sure does. We should all be so lucky.
Yeah, you go hard.
So stubborn.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
All right. Thanks, Marius. Appreciate it. And here's to let's see one more. I'm toasting with my cup of tea. So I see that there's I thought there. So Roy's on the board as well. We can go for hers next. I think she needs a reader.
I think Jay might be on hold and they can come right.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
Hey.
We'll put Jay
good.
first, and then see that work, okay? Jay?
What's that?
Are you
ready?
Yes, I am at work. Yeah, I'm ready. If you as soon as you get it up there.
Yeah. Oh, can you drop it, Rob? He has to go first. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll drop that.
Let's see you get this.
There we go.
There we are.
Oh, you beat me. Thank you.
All right. I wrote this little over 6 years ago. This is one of my earlier gold pieces, and this is I like the message behind it. It's called "I'd Do It Over Again." It goes like this: there is a time that I have fallen, I have let people down, I have failed, I have crashed, I have done unspeakable things, I have hurt the ones I love, and on my own
I have been a wreck. Yet then again, I got back up, I picked people up, I succeeded, I repaired, I have done remarkable things. I have loved those close to me, and with great help, I was saved. And when I hear the question, what in life you'd change, I say that there is nothing, for it has shaped me so. For even though I regret all the there is a time that, if they never happened, I could never have had the yet then again. End poem.
Awesome, JC. I think this is also it's the continuation of what I was saying about Candy's poem in the end, the rebirth and the going through the suffering or the abyss and coming out. You have to go through that. I think everyone has their time to go through that, and or you have the two options. You know, either you rise up and you're reborn, or you just continue in the suffering until you die. Bleak, but I think that's really it. And yeah, the message, and I think the essential underlying thought in this is the almost reactionary sense of whatever happens, what happens to you, but there's always a sense of how you handle this and how you deal with this. Again, very relevant to what we have today and what we're going through. I also like the fact that it's in the second stanza or fourth part, the great is capitalized. It's either a deity or God or whoever it is, but it's given that importance. It's such a nice touch and quite a nice detail. Thanks so much for joining us and sharing this with us. Always great to have you on.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure. Candy, what did you think of that by JCA?
Well, as I was reading this, I think that probably pertains to everyone, because if you live, who hasn't fallen and who hasn't, done things, hurt people, and we've been hurt, and, we pick ourselves up. Hopefully we learn from it and we move forward, and this was very introspective and honest. I think if we're honest with ourselves, we can all say the same thing. And, who doesn't regret? And like you said, even so, it makes us who we are. So I thought this was excellent, and I think it pertains to all of us.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Very welcome.
Lovely comments. I was just thinking earlier, I was reading Søren Kierkegaard wrote Either Or, which, as you say, you went through it and the regrets and all those aspects. And one of the things he writes is, if you hang yourself, you'll regret it. If you don't hang yourself, you also regret it. So it's almost that sense of, whatever happens, you just have to deal with it as best as you can. What do you think, Rak?
Yeah, I like the philosophy behind this kind of thought. I mean, I won't say doing a brevity is a disservice to it, but, this is one of those things where you could expand on this all night long. The philosophy behind, making you who you are, and if you didn't make this turn, something would happen. What is it, the Jimmy Stewart one, if you hadn't been born, that kind of a thought. I it really tickles my mind. And it's really a tough thing to look at too, and accept in a lot of ways, because like you said, there's things that you might regret, but that decision could have hinged on something that could have been worse. The way things unfold, you just have to deal with what's in front of you. They say live in the present, yada yada. It's very reminiscent of that for me. And the closing thought about the how did you put it? I like the way that you worded it too. The yet again, yet then again. people, I'm one of those people. I kind of believe in destiny in the sense that, not that it's entirely pre-written, but the path that we take to get there is our choice. So even if it's decided that this is what's going to happen, the path can be easy, but the path can be hard, and we're involved in that choice. And that's kind of what this speaks up to me. You did a great job with it.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and Boo.
Well, I love this kind of poetry, but I think it's how you get back up, how often you get back up that matters. That's important. When you ask the question, what in life would you change, and I say there's nothing will shape you because it shapes who you are, and that's all you can really learn, and all this knockdown, getting back up, and you do always get back up. And I think that's what that is. And I like the message here, of course, and I like the attitude. And I like the end too, what Rack said yet then again, full of power and strength. My kind of poem, Jay. Dig it.
Appreciate it, Boo. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And thanks for recording that introduction as well.
Oh, yeah, thanks for that, Jay, yeah.
No problem. Don't forget tomorrow, Liquid Damage Lounge, Linda, Janis Joplin. Definitely something to check out. Just an immense person, a voice of her time. And you don't want to miss that out. I put a bunch of videos up in the topic, so if you don't know what to write about, just listen to them. Let her incredible vocals, let her energy just seep into you and take you over.
All right.
Yeah,
Icon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Eastern.
Eastern. So who's next, Rob? Momo?
Yeah, let's do that one. Do you mind reading that, Boo?
No, I'll read it.
All right, I'll drop that on the board. I also want to say, like all the things that I was meant to say in the beginning, about what the show's about, the gold medals, and also want to say it's actually the day that I think Amy Winehouse died today. However many years back. But I ended up just saying, I'm freezing cold, so that that was bad. But yeah. So another one of the 27 clubs tomorrow night. Drop a poem on the board or on the topic, or call in, and have some fun with us. I'll drop that one down for you, Boo.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Okay. From Momo, Charms of AP. Floral Basket. Saudi Arabian. I don't know that word. European. That's European? I got to start over. That was terrible. Okay, sorry. Saudi Arabian European words. Let hold pen to emotion. Teacher of my poetry house. Respect from core of my heart. Hey, Stephen, back from us. The creative content flows from River. Let me, my first goal, and thank Stephen for front page picks. Deborah Lee, or Deb, wish anything to call, the owner of a group, a team of voices, crowned queen, creative challenges, amazed inner poets that lived under trash, a teacher from the courtyard, Dionysus, a man named from books, read a relationship with the best friend, caught high on what is metaphor, poet of wisdom, the beloved W or W poet is what he's known for. Inspiration, his magic sword, lies among the short notes of wisdom. Ken Doll. Have you heard the name? Step guide of contest to enter. Thanks for lending a helping hand. Trophies won, ended being a finalist from 50 entries. Sri Lankan, Zaidi, and a friend, Ravinia. Ken, friend from another land. The relational friendship bonded us. As strong as diamonds, in structure. Noble coordinator of words and voices. Humorous boy, ever seen on AP. Rhymes and humor from his soul. Once read, laughter can't be helped. Grinner lady from Little India. CLA, the lone artist. 12 months reader of my work. Envy high her antique vocabulary. The 10th charm of floral basket. Look him, tall beings as fires. Letting my work read among your shows. The Thanksgiving from pen burnt on fire. And poem.
Nice read, Boo. Yeah, I think it was quite challenging because it's incorporating a lot of pen names or aliases that aren't essentially part of real talk. Thanks for that, Roy. And again, this just emphasizes what we were saying in the beginning about this community and family unit that we've got over here, that, you know, it's people that really after a while touch your lives and or your life and have quite a significant impact on various things, as she's gone on and listed all the small and large interactions and effects that these relationships have had. And yeah, I'm sure each and every one of them were really touched by this because it is quite a nice dedication. So, and also a very cool thing that you've done here is shown how global and borderless, perhaps, not political, to just put that out there. Yeah, just, you know, quite diverse and open that this is. So awesome. Yeah, what did you think, Rack?
Yeah, there was a commercial a long time ago. It was a shampoo commercial, and they told two friends, and so on and so on. You know, this reminds me of that because of how, you know, we end up touching each other's lives in different ways, you know, whether it's a comment that we pass or even a prompt that you know, inspired someone. You know, you kind of take it for granted with thinking, you know, along one line, you know, I want to fill time. I want to, you know, I want to talk about this. My mind is on something else, and someone comes across it and they're touched in a certain way. And, you know, this reminds me of that because, you know, she's, you know, obviously been around a while, and she mentions a good smattering of people, like you said, Rob, and you know, all of that is like, you know, ripples in a pool. You know, one thing affects the next, almost like what Jay was mentioning about, you know, the path in your life and the choices that you make. But I guess in a different way, because she's talking about her writing, and, you know, and that's also, you know, kind of a personal thing. You know, people take what they do from what we put on the page. Sometimes, you know, it's not even what we meant, but, you know, it's unintentional. But you know, you never know what someone's gonna see in your words. You know, it's a great and organic thing. And that's, you know, I think to me what makes it real art. You know, you could put it down as being, you know, I'm writing about a flower, but, you know, the metaphors and everything makes it so much more than just a flower. That kind of an example, and she brings all that out in that thought of it's organic and it's touched her, and it's really a beautiful motivation.
Yeah, great comments, and I absolutely agree. I mean, whether it's conscious or completely unconscious, the interactions that we have with day-to-day things, media or whatever it is, and especially something as impactful as the phrase or quote that Candy started us off on, the real impact and gravity of poetry. And, you know, whether we think it does or not, everything that we read, everything that we digest, it has, you know, I've been reading quite a bit of neuroscience, and things that have come out in the last few years are quite amazing. And it's also something I said about the pandemic, the emphasis on mental health, the brain's plasticity, and, you know, all those aspects of it, whether we want to or not, it's still happening, and very interesting. I'll just stop myself there because otherwise I'm going to monologue. What did you think, Candy?
Candy? Oh, maybe Candy left.
Is it me? Did you say Candy?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I wanted to say that as I was looking at this, it says that his age is 17. I think that's remarkable for the way he has written this. I think I'll be reading more of this person.
Roy is a lady.
I'm sorry, what?
She's actually a lady, and we
I'm sorry.
I don't. No. We kind of know because we've heard our SoundClouds. That's you know I made that same assumption too when I saw Roy. I try and be generic, but yeah.
Well, you know, this it's a beautiful dedication, and we all get to be, after a while, like a big family here, and each has our own voice. And I think this is a wonderful way to give credit to some of our friends on here, each one that touches us in different ways. Again, like we become like a family on here, and give a little shout out to each one of their unique talents that go through here. But I think he did an excellent job. Word choices are wonderful. Simply written. Or she, I'm sorry. Sorry. But yeah, very good, very nice. I did one similar, and it's a joy for me because, you know, being here, we gain so much from reading other people's work, and we all put a little of ourselves into our work, so we get to know these folks pretty good sometimes. The more we read, you know, their work and stuff. So yeah, very good. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a wonderful dedication. You know, individual poets and the way that they, you know, speak to us too. Very nicely done.
Very cool. To her, to Roy. You read it. What did you think?
Well, I agree with all that. I mean, we all have mentors here, and, you know, I personally been blessed with some amazing mentors that have taught me many things here. It's about, not just about poetry, about life and friendship and love and a million other things. And you're right, we do get to know each other well. And I always tell people some of my best friends I've never even met before, you know. It's true. And I think to give them respect and honor is the way it should be. I always try to help new people because I remember people that helped me when I was new, too. So I think that's important. And they did a great job with that.
Yeah, great comments. Right, let's move on and just to say hello to the rest of our Indian fam. We've got Jaskaran, got Laugh and Soul. So, hey guys, good morning, I think it is now. Early morning.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Make a cup of tea, whatever you're into, and we'll go on. Right. Boo, do you have Jaskaran SoundCloud?
Yeah, SoundCloud. Yep. And we get over there.
Right. Okay, I'm dropping it down.
Okay. All right. Of course, my computer is super slow. What's it called?
Death of a Poet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, he doesn't have one, so I'll give this one a read for him.
Oh, he doesn't? Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're so used to Jasperan always spoiling us with his heartfelt.
We do have to welcome in 501 though, real quick.
So I'll give this one a read.
Yeah.
This is called Death of a Poet by Jasperan. Today a black hoe dug into the crumbling crack of earth and emerged a sweet poison, turning sane and deranged, scavenging unto their last breath for love of poetry. When I look at this blank page, all I see is beautiful canvas, waiting to be brushed with autumn colors to breathe life into it. I attain nirvana as I try to collect my words, as ink and blood flowing through the pen, riding on its cursive journey. My heart's getting imprinted onto the page, outshining all the lies that I have been holding in my mind. With newfound strength, I educate the loneliness of the people through their soul's own mastery. I sat by the ocean and questioned moon about its destiny. On scaling the mountain of Vanit's power, I fumbled, with worms eating the pages where I scribbled, and too much of summit buds spewing venom against those who shielded me against the winds. As when my end was near, no one comforts me, and died a painful death. Roses in the wind and seagulls in the sleep waves. No one weeps. End poem. Wow. Jasperan. Yeah, this is actually interesting because this is what I was going to say about JCAs in the end. The whole aspect of going through the suffering, you know, the four principles of Buddhism, and that to attain nirvana, you have to go through that suffering as well. Again, it's all actually a lot of synchronicity happening here tonight. And it is, again, the whole aspect of, a lot of time people see the arts as a suffering, and which it really is. A lot of time there is a sort of, not to make a big thing of it or to play into the stigma of it, but there is a manic depressive element to it and a lot of time when people have these inflictions, when asked if they would live without it, they say no, because when the mania is there and it's so good, when you can actually write and it just pours out of you. But then obviously the suffering when you can't create, because it's part of personality traits and all that in psychology, and the worms eating the pages and the death and the venom, that it's the suffrage that you have to go through. Great poem, Jasperan, and thanks for sharing with us. You got more medals than Michael Phelps there, so people certainly enjoy it. Right. What did you think of that one, Candy?
Well, it just occurred to me, reading through this and listening to it, that most of the great classical poets all wrote from pain and sorrow. And I don't know if it's for a writer, especially a poet, they have that ability to tap into the deepest of emotions if you're good at it, and can, relay those to others, because we all feel, pain and sorrow, but getting it out and putting it on paper for others to relate to, I think that's what good poetry is all about. And next to love, sorrow and pain is the next most written about emotion, and they've done it very well. So in this piece, you can really feel it, the struggle to wanting to, all I see is a beautiful canvas waiting to be brushed with autumn colors. And yet all through that, it speaks of loneliness. We all have to die, and we don't want to die alone, of course, but it speaks of life and death together as a whole here. And we have a blank page just like life. It lies in front of us, and it can be filled with both happiness and loneliness and all of it together. I think I like this. I sat by the ocean and questioned the moon about its destiny. I mean, because who hasn't asked ourselves, what is this all about, and how do we fit into this scheme of things? So I think this is a contemplative piece, very well done, and worthy of all the trophies.
Yeah, absolutely. Rak, what did you think of that? And then, Boo, I'll drop yours after you make a comment.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this, Jask. Pain is definitely a familiar muse. I think if you read most of my stuff, that's what I tend to write about, because when I'm happy, I tend to live in the moment and not write about it. But when I'm in pain, I purge, and it has to go on paper for me to let it go. And like Candy was saying, to hopefully someone will read it and relate to it. But the other thought that she touched on that I kind of chuckled at, she keeps saying love is the most written about, but there's another aspect of love that people mention a lot too. They say love is pain. So clearly you love to write, and that pain comes out in a very loving way in this as well, which is I think why it's gotten so many medals, because that's I think what we all can relate to. Is bleeding onto the page, which you kind of touched on that cliche phrase in a wonderful way without saying it. You said blood through the pain or something like that in the beginning, which I caught that as well, which I thought was a fantastic thought. But I mean, the overall piece was brilliant.
And absolutely agree with that. I spell which ties into this. I'll read a quote by, as I said, I'm busy reading the book by Søren Kierkegaard, Either Or, and he writes in that, what is a poet? An unhappy man who hides deep anguish in his heart, but whose lips are so formed that when the sigh and cry pass through them, it sounds like lovely music, and people flock around the poet and say, sing again soon. That is, may new suffering torment your soul, but your lips be fashioned as before. For the cry would only frighten us, but the music, that is blissful. So is that sense of, it's something that gives a sense of meaning to other people, because they've also gone through the pain and they've gone through the anguish, but maybe didn't have the terms of expressing it, whether it be in a music or poetry or any sort of art. And those that can create, they almost have that expectation from other people and that need from other people. Boo, what did you think of that? And then I'll drop yours on the board.
I don't think this is totally negative. I mean, I see it sort of as kind of positive too, because he's saying that, to me, it seems like he's happy that he found poetry, I attain nirvanas. I try to collect my words. He's taken himself on a journey. I think he's glad to be able to express it in the way that he gets out. And then and then at the end, all the words don't really mean much because he's dying alone, which is really sad. I like where it says if you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention. Yeah, no kidding. But I'm not exactly sure why it's so sad. But, I mean, and no one weeps because maybe all those words, everything that he wanted, all the emotions he wanted to express, it didn't mean anything. They just wasted time and effort. And I hope that he doesn't think that because that's never the case. They're always worth it. And they usually touch somebody. So, and a lot of us will need it as our therapy. So I thought it was very deep and moving.
Yeah, agreed. And that's why I said the whole aspect of Anne K. Jamison, I think she's a professor at Stanford. She did the definitive work on that. It's called Touched by Fire, which I highly recommend for anyone in the arts to read. It's about manic depression, which is also, I think, known more as bipolar disorder. And when artists were asked if they would rather not have the disorder, as it would be phrased, most of them, or over 90%, said that they would rather have it. They'd rather have the pain because as being high in openness and as personality traits go, you have to express that. You know, it's almost a part of yourself. All right, Boo, I'll drop yours on next. So.
Okay. Okay. This is called Poetic Peace. It's like this. If my love for you were any greater, your trees would line up in poetic form, praising the sonnets we've written, and allow winds to grace your face. Inspiration lies within ingenious palms of rather talented poetic hands. Kind of man that makes me want to write romantic poetry, read literature, and sit in the back of smoky bars admiring his gentle genius. He's beguiling paradox graced with an impassioned contemplative demeanor and wit. Now, I not only hear affirmations of growth, I feel them too. Daily, I want to wrap things in pretty paper so I can gift them it all to you. Divine romantic picture interpretations that run wild inside my star-struck head, or as poetry itself, romantic reverie defined, mutual ravishing thirst grows exponentially. Voice electrifies rainbows, breathes life with new beginnings, and repairs broken heartstrings. The one you never knew you were looking for when you weren't even looking, and now can't imagine life without. Each mark of a ravenous pill creates sparks, with the beauty of an unexpected still grace. Intoxicated in verse, we drink up the burning flames of inquisitive yearning passion. Muse floats across seas in the poetic wake, the connection we've created carefully and trusted intimacy that produces helicopter-sized butterflies, felt by a lucky few. More than just a blank 15-page, mutually kissed with eloquent words, together with a stunning masterpiece. We speak our own language, one that soars above the heavens and redefines earth. End poem.
Wow. Yeah, the ending, and just I think it's something. Maybe it's in line with people that have been involved in performance arts, like music or whatever. That I think a lot of your poems end on the sort of just a crescendo or whatever, but like just this big bang, like it's sort of maybe playing piano, blah, 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 and it just like resonates, and I think you don't get something that will resonate more than redefines art, because that's almost, history is art, so that's essentially all of history is defined in that one line, that it's something that breaks through all of those spherical territories, in a sense, that because before we actually communicated in any sense. There was no, it's prehistoric. So I think that line alone is just something that you could, write and discuss for hours. But yeah, just make it short. So passionate, romantic, and I love this. So lovely read, lovely write. And Iraq, what did you think of that?
Yeah, this is gorgeous, Boo. All the elements of poetry that make it, an art form that make it unique, all the emotion that gets wrapped into it, and you tie that together with the base emotion that moves everybody. You tie that together with the relationship, with love, and a person, and you could be talking about a person. You could be talking just about writing, or the parallels between both. The metaphor works so beautifully that this is wonderfully open to interpretation as far as whatever direction you want to take it, whatever piece that you're in. But the passion throughout it is what's undeniable, and what's really most moving about it. It's stunning.
Thank you, Rack.
Absolutely. Candy, what did you think of that?
Well, I think there, Miss Boo, that this is probably the reason I like to write poetry, or I love to write poetry. We're passionate. It brings out the passion in us all. It's romance, it's love, it's happiness, it's everything wrapped up divinely within these words and beautiful phrases. It's probably, why we like to write in the first place. It's a very unique way of putting it. Beautifully said. I'll sit with you in those smoky bars and listen to those people reading this same stuff, because that's what I like. It reminds me of the jazz bars where people would go in and recite their poems and stuff. I'm kind of hooked on jazz. I like it. But this brings out all the elements of beautiful poetry and why we love to do it, and what we love about it. Passionate, intimate. And for those who are lucky enough to experience a lot of this, like she said, felt by a lucky few, creates those butterflies within us. And so I think that's why we're all here, is because we love passion, we love love, and we love to write. But it makes us happy. Makes me happy anyway.
Yeah, well said.
Very, very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember one particular time someone said to me, "Thanks so much for writing on you." And I said, "Well, if I wasn't writing on you, I'd probably be spray painting on the planes and things. So it's better probably for society that is expressed over here." Yeah. Right. Lovely, Boo. I'll drop a rack on the board. You got a SoundCloud, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was using 2 phones and my other phone died, so really just Rack. I think this was one of Rack's first goals. Get there. Let's see. You put it by the date, Rack. Isn't it supposed to be on the top, Rack, if you put it by date?
Well, the numbers are it's like alphabetical, the list, as far as I know. So if you put like 00, it's on the top. But if you put like 12 or 7, you got to sort down now beyond all the zeros and ones. That's why some people pad
Oh, okay. Okay. What's today's date?
7. 7. Yeah, 20. Or is it? I don't even know. It says, come on.
I think it's
Damn
24th, right? Oh, it's 23rd. Sorry. Okay. I think I got it. Right. Here we go.
Ink by Raconteur. Wrapped in a blanket of cold sweat, jarring me from the cobwebs of sleep, I am overcome by an irresistible compulsion, indiscernible from the shadows of my imagination. Mired in quicksand, I try to think. It's dark outside and I'm becoming distraught. My mind is on the precipice of a thought. Could it be my stomach I hear, or my muse gently murmuring my name, like camouflaged memories playing war games in my brain? Glimmering dust motes dancing in moonbeams, to the beat of the blood pounding behind my eyes, teasing me, knowing that even beating like hummingbird wings, my heart will never be able to fill my lungs with the air I need to breathe satisfaction. Not simply goosebumps on the back of my neck, but a rash conquering my entire being, until slowly, like tiny rivulets of water droplets from a leaking faucet, words begin to accumulate in grease-filled similes and metaphors, inexorably alleviating my anxiety as coherent thought slowly begins to puddle and ultimately congeal in my consciousness, choking me with the relief that can only come from chasing a thought or penning an emotion until the feeling overwhelms me again. End poem.
Yeah, I can see exactly when you made the comments on Jaskaran's poem just now, I definitely get that connection. I was actually thinking when you were talking about the, could it be my stomach I hear, that anxiety or claustrophobia that invokes and makes you feel. And then as you go along, you touch more on it, and there's quite a bit of metaphysical aspects to this. Yeah, I think it is quite a, I wouldn't say this staple of yours, but there is a lot of times exactly what you were saying. I mean, in a sense, I'm just echoing your statement earlier about what you write about and what stirs your muse, in a sense, if you want to put it that way. That there are these aspects, and it's always interesting when you speak to people and you have some sort of extended communication and on multiple occasions, that there's often always this sort of well, not always, but a lot of the time, some of the kind of people that come across as the happiest, that I think also goes into the poem of Jaskaran's, the duality or the paradox of that. That there's always some sort of darkness or pain, and the way that you express it really sort of saturated in deep emotions. And like I said, you get that, I mean, from that third stanza, that feeling of a suffocating, but a suffocating from within, which is something that's quite torturous, because you think of the torture methods where they would peel your skin and then they tie it on top of your head, and so it's really something that's quite really strong and powerful. So yeah, lovely read. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for joining us as always, and always very unique. Like Candy was saying earlier, everyone that is with us has their own sort of
voice
themselves. Yeah, exactly. And yours is always so welcome and so appreciated. So thanks. Candy, what did you think of Rak's poem?
First of all, I'm sorry, there's that noise. First of all, I want to say that I like the prompt. There is salt in my tears, but I bleed ink. And
I wrote that.
Oh, I really like that. And I think it speaks to so many of the people that come on here that write as a cathartic exercise to purge those shadows that lies within. I know personally people that have write for that particular exercise so that they can get rid of those inner demons. Searching for the air to breathe, and within their subconsciousness, I suppose. And it can be very overwhelming. Of course, if you're able to get those thoughts out, get those emotions out, which you've done here very beautifully, then it can really touch others who are going through sort of the same thing, whatever that case is. And but I have, and I'm sure everybody that writes, a thought that creeps up and it continues to plague you until you get it out. You just have to sit down and start writing so that it's able to come out. And often it'll simmer for a while until it gets to the point that you just got to write. You just got to get that thought out or whatever it is. So I think that speaks to all of us. I really like that prompt, though. That's really good. I think we all bleed a little ink once in a while.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Yeah, exactly. I think, like the last stanza, we've, I think, spent, dozens of minutes discussing the sorts of the burdens and the opposite, the pleasures, perhaps, or release that you get from creating and expressing in a artistic, creative way. And in the last stanza, maybe, a couple of seconds, it is the concentration of that whole dialectic summed up in just that bit, which is essentially poetry at its core, to make things known in a sense that it can only be known in that way. To put it, I think, very simplified, but it's the closing stanza really is something that I think would linger, because it's what we've been talking about again and again. Awesome. Boo.
I see this in a different way. Sorry, maybe I'm way off, but kind of see it like the process that you go through writing, and how some people just, everybody has like a process, but some people way out there kind of, and almost like you're trying to make something come when you know that you really don't have anything in your mind. You're saying like glimmering dust, smoke dancing in moonbeams, and you're kind of just pounding behind your eyes. Maybe you're trying too hard to come up with something, and that whole process that we beat ourselves up over when we're trying to be creative also reminds me kind of like a nightmare. Maybe like you have writer's block and you can't come up with something, and you're still torturing yourself. I don't know if I'm wrong, but it's creepy and dark, and pending an emotion until the feeling overwhelms me again. If you're just waiting for it to come back and bite you, it's very unique and different for you too, I think, Rock. And your read often is always made for poetry, your voice.
Thanks, Boo. Yeah, I was going to, you know, when you have that idea in your head that you know what you're trying to say, but you just can't quite get that word out or that phrase or that expression, and it's hanging right there in front of you, and you feel it. And it's and like Rob said, it wants to come out. It has to come out, and your mind can't rest until you can get it out. But you know, because you know OCD or whatever personality trait you want to ascribe to it, you know, it's got to come out in the right way. Otherwise, you're not going to be satisfied. So it's like, no, that's not what I'm trying. And then when you get it, there's that sense of satisfaction and relief until, you know, it washes over you all over again. But it's that game that your mind plays trying to get to that point, that feeling of elation, that feeling of there it is. You know, and you know, for me, when it hits the page, sometimes you kind of know. It's like, you know, that's what I was trying to say. That's the way I wanted to say it. You know, you're coming up with metaphors or ideas, just you know, composing that thought, chasing that thought. You know, that's what I was going after. And that little thing that I put on the top of the picture, you know, salt in my tears, but I bleed ink. That's also along that same line. That's what I was trying to you know, there's the pain wrapped up in it, but you know, that's how it winds up on the page in the first, you know. So thanks, Boo.
Yeah, agreed. I was saying to a friend of mine that Payne said earlier, it's like almost as if maybe if you either by circumstances, and that is to say that maybe the burden of surviving, that's to say your job or whatever it is, or other factors, family, whatever it is, if you can't create in that sense or express in that particular way, that it's like a clogged drain. It has to come out some way, and then it bursts and manifests in another sense if you aren't able to do that. And that's obviously, and what history and data statistics have proven is that it's often very costly to people that are aligned in those particular personality traits and senses. So yeah, thanks, Rak. Very enjoyable. We'll do Laugh and Soul next. But you got SoundCloud?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Go for it.
Sunset Through the Hourglass, a poem by Laughing Soul. Watching sunset through the hourglass, crippled shadows sway on shores of time. I dive into nothingness, letting the storms pass. Loosened reflections veil a filigree pass. Fleeting footsteps paint mosaic sublime. Watching sunset through the hourglass. Pendulous darkness wounds over forsaken carcass. Unsung fables, the golden sands shine. I dive into nothingness, letting the storms pass. Ephemeral twilight twirls a nostalgic chase. Amble along reveries like pantomime, watching sunset through the hourglass. Rusted flute bleeds crimson on frozen canvas. Empty shells serenade doleful rhyme. I dive into nothingness, letting the storms pass. Ambrosian passion trickle as unfurl caravan of stars. Roseate plumes flitter on waves of time. Watching sunset through the hourglass, I dive into nothingness, letting the storms pass. End poem.
Yeah, I could have just had that music go on forever. Sorry about the luck again. Yeah, just so everyone else knows that might not be following along with the reading and might just be listening, that this is a villanelle, and she claims it might be hard to believe because it's quite a mastery and quite brilliantly executed over here. It's a 90-line poem, and it has very particular structures and schemes that apply to us. And as I said, she claims that it's her first because it's very hard to believe, isn't it? Such a masterful execution. Yeah, that's again. It's so nice when things happen like this, where it falls into a sequence of themes as we've had this evening. I always love the Hourglass. I think it's because I think growing up we had 2 or 3 TV channels in South Africa. So one of the things that we had on just about half the day is Days of Our Lives. So it's something that's ingrained in me, and it's yeah, it's a symbol that I use in just about half of my poems. So if you ever wondered why, it's because of that loss. I can't think of any of the names, but yeah, like Sands in the Hourglass, those are the days of our lives. And yeah, what I sort of was thinking about with this is the again with Candy's poem that we've started off with, the sense of something that I've been thinking about particularly today, and that's why I said the synchronicities are sometimes quite, it's almost like shaking to the core. And that's the sense of a lot of things that I've been thinking about is the almost the muddying of these stands. And, again, you've touched on canvases like Jaskaran and the storms as well as Candy was writing about. And one of the thoughts that I've been having about is the sense of in this time where literally time seems to almost slow down, and it's been frozen for 18 months or 16, 14 months. For some people, it's almost as if the hourglass has been muddied in a sense of the sand getting wet, and instead of it being a flow and them having their lives progress in a normal sense, it's been muddied, stagnating, and not progressing as it should. Some of the languages, yeah, also fantastic. Sorry, Rak, you were saying?
No, you're saying that you're struggling with the hourglass. If you lay it down on its side, it stops. That's kind of what I think you're trying to say.
No, usually I just throw it on the ground and smash it completely because I don't have the patience for that. So, yeah, like trying to get a visa in South Africa. Yeah, lovely rice. Often sold the language. Using quite a few borrowed words, as they say, passe, chasse, pantomime, all these Latin language words is quite tasteful, Ambrosian, just lovely language, beautiful descriptive terms, and as I've said, obviously I do believe you. That's your first, but it's just so well executed that it's obviously your calling. Yeah. Candy, what do you think of that poem by Laughing Soul?
Oh, I thought this was mesmerizing. All beautifully put together, and a wonderful job on this villanelle. Very much like sitting there by the beach, watching the sunset. It's sort of mesmerizing. It takes you away. There's no storms everything can just flow. You forget time sometimes when you're sitting there, just watching the sun go down, and it leaves you peaceful. And this left me in a very peaceful spirit, listening to her recite this. Wonderfully done. Really enjoyed listening to it. Sunset through the hourglass, and great job on it. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, agreed. And Rack.
Yeah, the expression that she used that grabbed me was diving into the nothingness, because if you're in the ocean and there's turbulent waters, you dive underneath the surface and everything is calm again. So you're kind of diving into the nothingness and leaving the turbulence behind you, all the turmoil and everything. So that's kind of the thought that came into my mind when she mentioned diving into the nothingness. But the whole concept of this is like everyone's saying, it's very soothing and really hypnotic, beautifully read and beautifully constructed poem. I have a hard time. Well, I shouldn't say. I don't know with the rules and the three syllables, 8 syllables, and this line and that line, and it's when I start out, it just kind of comes out on the page, and I don't know. It's I probably could do it if I had to, but it's not something that I've ever really done or tried. So the fact that you did it in a form as well is really impressive. First time or not, you did an amazing job with this. It was absolutely stunning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had to do them for school, so that's why I have a bit of a sort of resentful attitude towards them. And to any of those that have been listening since the beginning, when Rat was talking about the anti-political statements, so that's what he's done there by saying when you go under the water, it's all the calm. Because something I read this week was when they were talking about not to call it shark attacks anymore, to call it shark encounters. I don't know if anyone heard about that, but yeah, I mean, everything's offensive, and you can't hurt the shark's feelings. So yeah, Boo, what do you think about Beautiful Poem?
They did it. They did it with the airlines too. With they went from stewardesses to I don't know what they call them now. I mean, how many different names did they change? It's ridiculous. It's like why is whatever. Don't get me started.
Yeah. I would say, except for that one flight that left Texas earlier in the week, but just so everyone knows, I'm not American, so this isn't a dig at anybody. I just watched the news. Boo, what did you think?
I think this vocabulary is so beautiful. I mean, this is her first one, and these are kind of a pain. There's a lot of rules. I really don't like all the rules, regulations either, but she did a good job with it. Even words that don't normally rhyme, she seems that she makes them work, I think. And, the whole thing, I mean, it seemed like a new starting over maybe. And, I mean, every word, ambrosia and passion, resentment, closer waves of time, all of it is so vibrant and so colorful. I think she did a great job. So it's really beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
She won the gold.
Sorry?
She won the gold for that one, well deserving. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
So there's a few, I don't know if they're going to call, not like Selwa or...
No, we could... I think Selwa has a recording. Yeah, she's not going to call.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a nice sort of progression. One serene voice to the next.
Okay.
Yeah, I am who I am. Yeah.
I am who I am.
I think you got someone on the phone line.
Got someone on the phone line? Okay.
Maybe.
Trying to get over there. Maybe. Oh, yeah, you're right. Hello there. 603.
Hello.
Hello. Who's this?
I'll be trying to read my area code.
Hey, Alice. Of course I do. How are you, Kate? Thanks for coming.
Good.
We're just getting ready to listen to Salwa.
Okay.
All right. Welcome, guys. Okay, ready, Rob?
I love poems. I am who I am. Je suis qui je suis. I'm a passenger in a strange life. Besides, captive of my upbringing. However, it taught me beautiful things. Close to my children. But I made mistakes. But my love is real and my sacrifice is alive. I'm an altruist. The pain of others becomes my pain. My heart joins the story without any regret. This is too much attachment, is inevitable. I live it day after day, yet it causes me sorrows. These unexpected pardons, no hate in my heart. My book, its pages are open, vulnerable sans escape. Je suis une passagère dans une vie étrange, d'ailleurs captive de ma formation. Toutefois, elle m'a appris de belles choses. Proche de mes enfants, mais j'ai commis des fautes. Mon amour est réel et mon sacrifice est vivant. Je suis une altruiste. La douleur des autres devient ma douleur. Mon cœur joigne leurs histoires sans aucun regret. Ce trop d'attachement inévitable, je le vis jour après jour. Pourtant, ça me cause de chagrin. Ces pardons inattendus, pas de haine dans mon cœur. Mon livre, ses pages sont ouvertes, vulnérables, sans échappement. End of poem.
She took the air out of the room with that. Where'd you go, Rob?
Yeah, I'm sorry, my whole system is really crashing over here. I think it was that that powerful opponent. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I think if anyone's ever had even 5 seconds worth of time spent with Salwa or has encountered her at all, ever in her heart or even close to that, I'm sorry, my a few problems. You go on. I'm stuck.
This is incredible for me. I'm a passenger in a strange life besides captive of my upbringing. Never taught me beautiful things. I think she's talking a lot about, we experience good things, some of us experience bad things, and what happens in life is how we get through it, how we rise above it, and how it can make us who we become later in life. We all make mistakes, that's for sure. I think I like it because it's too much attachment is inevitable. I live day by day. I think that stanza right there says to me how she honestly is in real life. She has such a big heart. She gives too much of herself, sometimes too much, and it causes her sorrow because maybe she expects too much. She expects what she gives, and not many people are like that and give as much as she does. Beautiful poem there. So, Guy, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I think that her empathy is quite visible to all that have had the pleasure of any sorts of interaction with her. And that's, I think, what she touches on, that, the feeling of other people's pain and the authenticity of her spirit, which is, I think, one of the most difficult things in life, to be absolutely authentic. And I think with her, it's quite undeniable. Iraq.
Yeah, she brings up that thought of an empath, which is almost mythical in comics and movies and things like that. But people really do pick up on other people's feelings and whatnot, and it becomes evident in the way that they carry themselves sometimes, in the way that they treat other people, and it gets difficult to do things. And so when she writes about it, you could tell how she's really affected by everything around her, and it almost seems like are you kidding me? But then you get to know her and you're like, yeah, no, she's serious, and it's if you don't feel it, it's hard to understand. Some people have no empathy, and unfortunately, that's more common and more obvious in a lot of things that happen. And as a result, the people that are empathetic kind of get tramped on, and it's sad because on the one hand, for them to try and stifle something like that, I don't know that you even can. But anytime you take a facet of your personality and you have to stuff it down, it's just horrible to me. That's a true tragedy. That's something that I can't stand to look at, because you could see the joy in people's eyes when they feel something or see something that other people don't. It's a rare gift, I think, and like Rob said, anyone that gets to know her, that interacts with her, will see she's one of those people that doesn't have a what's the expression? Any malice in her body, but when she puts it down on the page, it's very relatable. I enjoy her writing, and the way that she expresses herself is clear that she's got a connection to nature and emotion. Very sensitive person.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And
being
she is.
so.
She's right on. She's told me things I didn't even know she knew before. Like, she's that good for real.
Yeah. Hey, Sky, how are you doing? You all right?
Yes, I'm doing great.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. What do you think of that poem by Soa?
I thought it was beautiful. I love how at the beginning she talks about, I am the passenger. And I think sometimes when we're going through childhood and we haven't quite taken the wheel of our own lives, so to speak, in metaphor, as she so did here, it does feel like we are a passenger. And when we are, we really don't have the control, I think, that we gain over years. And it kind of feels, right here where she says, besides captive of my upbringing, however, it taught me beautiful things. And right there in the very opening line, are tucked in there are it's a sadness that we sometimes during childhood do go through periods of grief and do go through trials and go through things that sometimes it feels like we have no control over, and that we are, yes, a passenger. So I loved, first of all, those 4 lines, that metaphor I thought was brilliant. And then going through, but also spinning that in a positive way. So even though there were those sad and bad things, it taught me how to be beautiful within those trials. And I really like that about Selwa's writing, is that even when there's sadness tucked in, there's still that making it out of that grotto. They're still making it out of that those underground caverns of perhaps that youth might trap us in. So I thought this was a really, really well done, and I have to say it was really a quite brilliant metaphor that she opened up with. Really well done.
Agreed. Yeah. Right. Candy, have you commented? Sorry.
No, I haven't. But first I want to say hello, Sky. Nice to see you. See if she's there. I'm
sorry. I'm on mute.
Oh, sorry. It's been a while. This sounds as the typical empath that feels what their children feel. When there's sorrow, they feel sorrow and joy and so forth. And of course, how much you would sacrifice for your children, regardless of what it is, because it's love, and you would, you don't regret whatever you have to give up for your children or for whoever that you have empathy for. But so she says it so well here, and even though it may cause us sorrow, an empath, a true empath, feels that anyway, regardless. So she says it very well. Unexpected pardons, no hate in my heart. Sometimes very unexpected, and you don't want perhaps to feel it, but you do. And so, yeah, she says it very well here. Very heartfelt. And we are who we are. We can't help being who we are. So she writes as it from a part of herself. So very introspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So, to me, Mong. And, right, I don't know, so, I don't know if Lizzie's calling in to read hers, or...
Lizzie's on the board, you could drop her.
I think Lizzie is gonna, I don't think Lizzie knows a sound guide. I'm gonna see if Candy will read for her.
Yes, I'd be happy to read.
I sent mine to you, Boo. I got Sky too. Yep. And you want to say hi to Candy? I was on mute. Yeah, I was on mute. I'm sorry. Hi, how are you doing?
That's for you, Candy. You guys missed each other there. Okay. So, Candy, would you mind reading for Lizzie?
Yes, I'd be delighted to. Hold on, just let me pull it up here.
Thank you.
I'm not able to pull it up. Hang on just a minute. I'm sorry. You might go ahead.
No problem.
I don't think I'm going to be able, I'm not able to pull it up right now. Sorry, I'm stuck.
I could send it to you if you want.
Okay,
I got it. Oh, no. Nope.
Okay.
Sorry. It's still, sorry.
You got it?
Make Sky read it. Make Sky read it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, go ahead,
Sky,
Sky. You read for Lizzie. Sorry.
Sky, do you mind reading that one for...
Oh, yeah, I can read. I'm sorry, yeah. All right, this is The Guardian by Global. Atop the hill above the village sits a boy no more than 9. There he sits, glazed, saddened-eyed, staring out over the land. Villagers tell a tale, horrific, gut-twisting legend from days of yore, before paved streets and lighted poles. A family drove down dark dirt roads. One Tuesday night, a storm set in. Thickening fog blocked the light of the sky above. As the family tried to traverse the road, they were no match for the muddy, flooded trail. Slipping off into the woods, a crushing, crunching sound, then an explosion followed. Fire spread, consuming the car. The family withered into the flames. As the flames died, the burnt bodies were removed. The saddest, a little boy with a teddy bear, now fused, buried far from home. Nameless headstones placed to mark their tombs. Sightings of this little boy have been seen, sitting overlooking the streets below. Some believe he has become a guardian, guiding those who travel the deadly road and home.
Fantastic read, and yeah, Lizzie, lovely. Yeah, I had to read the end to check if that wasn't based on some sort of true story, but it specified it's a ghostly tale. So, yeah, I haven't checked the the contest per se, but so the prompt is a little ghost on the hill, and to bring that out from the prompt, I think is extremely creative and definitely unique in many aspects. And I can see why Wayne would have liked this. It does have some sort of Wayne flavor to it. Yeah, this picture is actually, it looks like it could have been where I grew up. So it's quite unsettling at the moment. This looks like where I used to go and smoke weed in high school, to be honest. But yeah, very dark, sort of ghostly story, campfire tale. And yeah, I love the descriptive sort of setting the scene, all these crashing, crunching, and very descriptive and fantastic write. Thanks so much for sharing with us, and go on to Rack.
Yeah, Lizzie's a great storyteller, and darkness is her happy place. So when you put the two together, look out. And this is a fantastic job. I'm surprised she didn't do an audio for it herself, but because she does a great read of it too. Not that Sky did a bad job. I'm glad she read it. I really enjoyed the story though. Again, she kind of makes me wonder all the time if it's based on a true story and where she's getting her information sometimes, because she's got a wicked imagination. This is a great poem. I really like your story, Glow.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I do like the aspect of him becoming a guardian. It has a sort of different touch to the archetypical horror story. And I think Candy has left us, if not mistaken. So, Sky, you got to read it. What did you think of that one?
Oh yeah, I thought it was a wonderful piece. There's so much tragedy in the world, and sadly, it doesn't exempt itself from children. I'm a big Stephen King reader, and as my poem shows today, I bring in. And one thing that Stephen King's books does, he doesn't shy away from bringing that tragedy into the experience of children as well. And I feel like that's kind of where Lizzie went with here. And but she took that tragedy of this whole family and of this boy, but then also made it into an even longer story with he is now the guardian. There, even through this tragedy, there's going to be this beautiful guardian, I guess, that's watching over the road, that this may never happen again. And I think it's quite brilliant how she wraps that sadness into something that might bloom more beautiful in the end. So I thought it was really, really well done. The tone, the wording, I thought was very, pieces like this can be either a hit or, some people, she did it with, I guess, I want to say, grace. She did it very much with grace. I think topics like these can really be turned into a sour taste, but you, Lizzie, did it very, very well in a way where it was believable, it was felt, and it was a haunting tale with a little bit of a happiness of what we can get of happiness out of it. Really well done.
Yeah, I think as you were saying, hit or miss, it's a bit like a story of Chucky batting for the other team. Boo, what do you think of that one? Boo?
Sorry. Oops, sorry. I was going to say it's a sensitive subject, so it's not like too dark. It's not too over the top. Like Rack, I like the storytelling. And it is a dark story. I like the crashing and crunching sound of how she brings you down. And then at the end, she's the guardian angel. She went totally south and dark. She didn't have it kind of an upbeat ending, I guess you could say, that he's watching over. Unmarked grave kind of sticks with me. And it's a sad day that she kind of made more upbeat, and I guess in a poetic way. And it kind of reminds me of something you do by the campfire. And good job, Libby.
Awesome.
Can I go next?
Sorry?
Okay, Scott, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what's happening?
You have to take yourself off mute.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm just trying to see. Rob asked a question, so I was trying to let them explain to each other what was happening. I think we'll watch you to go next, Rob. So, I brought you a double gold poem and from Page Pick, and it's in honor of Stephen King, so I'm very happy about this one. I did a piece, and it was called Walking Down That Green Mile a while ago, and it was in the voice of Paul Edgecombe. So when the idea of doing Shawshank Redemption came in, I love the book so much. It was hard for me to be able to write a poem when, in my opinion, it was done so well in the book. I didn't feel, I was like, how could I really make a meaningful poem when the original context is so brilliantly done? I don't want to just be kind of just, copying it or taking it a different way. So I thought, well, how can I do this? So I decided to take Shawshank, but also mix in the Green Mile into the perspective as if it were Paul Edgecombe from the Green Mile speaking of the Shawshank Redemption in his voice, because I just could not write in the voice of Red. I just couldn't do it. It was just the way that it was done in the book was just too good, and I didn't want to take from that. So I kind of tied in the two together. So this would be the voice of Paul Edgecombe from the Green Mile speaking about the Shawshank Redemption. I don't have a male's voice, but I'll try to do the accent as best I can. But this is Prisoner, so it goes like this. I'm getting into my little accent here. Prisoner 81433 SHNK. Justice. Ain't she a pretty picture painted on walls with fine lines, pearl teeth to condemn the wicked? Something like a Rita Hayworth meets Miss Liberty. Except smile, old dark shadow on window bar. Now, there are many things of which I don't know. But I do know that when you tear down that poster, there are holes in the wall, cracks built in foundations, where rats run pipes and sewer drinks are on tap. You've heard my story, I suppose, of the Green Mile. But soon after, there was another man tried and convicted, with trim nails and gold-wire spectacles, guilty where empty shells were left unloaded at his feet. For 27 years, he answered to this here injustice. A chess piece misshapen, therein neath dusty books, courtyard sands hid limestone and salted granite, a glass-like quartz of mica, or a dark color of shale. Who would have thought, when kicked enough times, that dirt can rise in freedom, like a fine, polished gem, like a rock hound that sorts through city pebbles, or in this case, a man who sped 500 yards of that task. I read his story in 1982, just 14 years before I started to write my own. But my guess is there are many stories waiting to be told in cell block turnkeys, like the one of cell 14, block 5, prisoner 81433, SHMK, like the one of my green lives, tucked behind smiles, hidden in dark corners where no one wants to look, where sadness, like a sharpened diamond-backed pearl raging, can cut you from ear to ear and shine while doing it. There are times that the sin old Sparky never rode on, too. And I think of John there with Andy and Red, rattling on quiet like, aged no more than a Twinkie in Armageddon. I think he might have left it there, somewhere with no memory, where only sound of Red's harmonica, Mr. Dufresne, leather, black grin, card shuffles, and soft waves on wood. I try so very hard to live in a world where men have hope, where mercy gives it back to those who've lost it, where justice ain't just a pretty poster on prison walls. And Paul.
Yeah, I think you nailed the accent. It was amazing. Some method acting going in that. Just a side note, all that you said in the prologue about not just doing a different version of it. I've actually written a poem a few months ago that is exactly that, based on this film or book. I actually haven't even read the book, so even lazier. And to make it worse, they even used the same title and just put a comma in 2021 at the end. So, yeah, what she was talking about in the beginning is important because you get people like me that are just taking advantage of it. Yeah, I think this is because also I know from having a few sorts of interactions and being in the same sorts of environments, the admiration and respect that you have for Stephen King, and I can tell that you took this very seriously, and the work that's gone into it is visible by the end product. I think the combination of the two is done very well, because it could be almost where you lose the original, you sort of start doing a complete mix and match, and it just doesn't fit in with the original. But I think the way that you handled it is fantastic, and I think it's something that even Stephen King would be very pleased to have read, and very well executed as well. I think the acting is good. And then also for everyone else who's reading along, the notes at the end, the references and everything is also laid out there for everyone who's interested in that. Thank you, Scott. That was lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah, Rack.
Yeah, the accent was a pleasant addition. I shouldn't be surprised. You could be a Southern belle. I really like the story. You very much made it your own. You took the two and combined them. I want to say, I don't know. I know you admire Stephen King. I don't know if you look at it like I do. To be daunting to write something to one of his work like that, because it's the the way he tells a story is what he does. He's goes over for it to try and almost come out from behind the shadow or something like that. It's difficult, but you did a great job. Coming up with something of your own and building a unique style, in your way, in signature style. Good job.
Thank you, Rob.
And
yeah, I love both those movies. I love how you mix them together and told your own story from the two. Me, what speaks a lot of is like underneath every gem, there's a diamond if you polish it and if you look hard enough for it and you give it the time and attention that it can be something beautiful. Also, speaks a lot about friendship, I think. How they were so opposite, but still they were tight as they were, rattling on like quite age no more than a Twinkie in Armageddon. I think you may have liked it there. I really love the movie, and I think you did the movie and the book both justice there. And I loved your accent; it was adorable. You know how I am about the accent.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill.
All right. Thanks for stopping by, Sky. I really appreciate you spending some time with us. I'll drop Raz on the board and I'll give this to read. Right, this is called Stringless Quantum by Raz, DSA 822. Fool the source of inspiration blind. Pronounced figure hovers the fallen landscape of the dreams that crumbled to maintain a state. Of reality there were numberless which saw the source flourish to excessive nurture from the silver and metallic fountainhead. She was trance morphology, my dear Rita Haywood, a classicist violin player that practiced regular prior to the success of the Philharmonic Orchestra, producing Handel and Brahms' melodic requiem, and years later, after her death, the skillful concerto. Hum heavier the oxygen-depleted environmental wasteland that rose when the original Earth collapsed into the boiling waters which perspired the oceanic shift protruding towards the crooked and leaning skyvaults and gas-flick fuming heaven. Swansong must be for Proust, and the movement in Rita Haywood's mind muted, about screaming montages of salt and sand piles, roar over the white elephant decomposed hypersonic dystopia. For the blackness to solidified matter surrogate the bottom string, where belong the stronger and coerced torso, the harmonic and the planetary vibration concurring the diffuse spectrum, or the geopolitical progression in the straining black piano which could ghost finger per Halden model sketch octave flat, a series to the accumulated worlds in the molecular drops of water, summarizing the quantum string detached mass scales, the echo to known life evolving panoramic Delphic, a key materialized temporary fragments narrow size and modernized the remaining abstracted. In the concrete manifestation, the separate multiverse containing billions of years gone by unconscious memory. End poem. Right. Rack.
Oh, Raz always gets my brain itchy. I gotta read him more than once to try and I can't. he's complicated and layered, and I just, I'm horrible when it comes to politics and things like that. I hear stringless quartet, my mind goes to the Marx Brothers and Harpo Marx and quartets and things like that. I get images of the literal of the metaphors that he's talking about, and he always does that in a beautiful way. But trying to follow along takes a little effort, and I don't know. He's definitely beyond what I see sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very in the line of C.S. Eliot, which is perhaps my favorite poet. Not the most prolific, but certainly, his main works are just the amounts of references, and I think even the notes, or the, as we would say, the AN that he used for those poems, 3 pages long, but eternal really in its substance. And this is the same sort of thing, the metaphysical modernism that he communicates with references spanning across industries and realms, breaking barriers of certain territories, which is another aspect of a sort of postmodern philosophical idea, not being a singular or lateral idea, but being more rhizomatic, perhaps. So, yeah. So I think a great write. Raz, thanks for sharing that and for making us feel somewhat stupid with all of this. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, Raz is quite brilliant, and one thing, he definitely can bring in, science, social science, and things of that nature through, through things not only with pop culture, but also, present, I guess, the present social climate that's going on, as well as historical events. I think he goes and uses so many facets through those elements that it's very meaty. You have to chew through the entire piece. One of the things that I do, I'm not too savvy with sciences and things like that. I'm definitely fantasy fiction based, literature based. But one thing I do, because I am a little bit more literature based, that I do like that Raz does tend to gravitate towards is when he talks about, the quantum realm. So I may not understand all the sciences behind the quantum realm, but I'm a comic book fan, so I know what the multiverse is. So I can grasp the idea. I can grasp the idea of the multiverse in the sense of what I've learned through things like the Flash and the time continuum and things like that. So when he starts bringing this in the ultimate the first paragraph, really, because it's more like prose, but or a stanza, if you will, down here at the bottom where it talks about the model sketch octave flat, a series of accumulated words with the molecular drops of water summarizing the quantum strings, detached mass scales. I can gravitate towards that section, and because I can kind of chew a little bit more of what he's putting down. He's very fascinated with the multiverse and with the quantum realm, and if you read his work, he brings it in often, and I do like that about it, because when you bring those in, it's really talking about perspective and about what worlds there could be and what different perspectives, and in a way where we say how you look at perhaps the Salvador Dali painting, which I love Salvador Dali, so I love that he brought it in here, how you can understand and take in perspective and what that painting might mean. Somebody else can take that surrealism and take it into a completely different context, almost as if it were in a different multiverse. So I really like that concept. As always, Raz does a great job. And with that, I have to bid you guys good night.
Well, thanks for coming.
All right. Cheers. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Nice guys.
The thing that I find quite startling as well is the date of this is a year ago, and actually one of the bits of data that came out this week from experiments that they're busy doing in China relating to quantum physics and the conscious mind, and making progress on that, which is certainly further than it's ever gone before in trying to figure out what it is, because of certain temperatures which their theorems, so yeah, that's quite fascinating to me, at least. Yeah. So we've got about 10 minutes left, and we're going to do a SoundCloud for Titus, if you will, Boo.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at something. I was trying to figure out something to say about Raz. Wow, I don't even know. Okay. Titus. I like how he used classical music in there, but I'm not sure what he's going with. I'd have to read that one again a couple of times. Anyway, getting there. Sorry. Right, I'm in Titus. Well, I got it.
Ode to Imminence. Delve not fear, to avert thither to yon still life, to prick the conscience of a cade which to enter, imminency had begun. You accept as clots usurps death's crusade, the sense quiver with its static musk. And where forthwith as happenstance it's hoped, viewed gazing back to yesteryear, some tempestuous dusk, that cackle which aids further prominence, constrains the lifelong last that death be near. The fact of death, why opaque crest of mute, from one stare that length becomes a view, basting in stages where life remains acute, the rest the rarest skin, tinged with blue, leaves him to abstain death from course. Spring as hoped for, why Zenith sings again with hidden meaning, rosy as I thought, chest raised high, back it falls. It sings quite simply, yes, but who's to feign? If sombre when a spasm comes, no pain. Life would nestle amongst what shall inspect light. A purple patch would leave death's notice. Still unexplored, it never lose effect. Shone, whereby this life becomes the lotus kept within its jar, a death that lemon zest, required taste of what is left bestowing. As movement can but touch to hope on next, with phantom rust divest. Matter will engulf us without knowing from what matter each particle detects. Oh, decay, decay. The grape against the light, soon magnify what's inside can be set. It'll move me to the point a zenith might. Attempt to try and invert your fears instead. While aged jade accustoms itself to a luminescent search, gives a hint to sap, to feel no thermal trace or utter breath, reveals what seems untrue. Perchance by what we teach shows a mishap, though credulous concern since after death. I
cannot freely twist behind the screen's imminency death. What fear confines, what vapors transfers often means we're free to come and go. But read the signs. You chip away the best from what is said. A true account of time to blow by blow. A poet who compares with one who knows this living memory. For death be pure as white, if need to add a time since life begun did shun disclose.
Oh, what a touching ode, and certainly a poem befitting the poet which it's in honor of, which is Keats, one of the best to ever put pen to paper or quill to parchment in them times. And yeah, 25 years old. The standard and quantity of work that he's left behind in his legacy is amazing. And another thing that he's managed to accomplish in this is to use what would be described in the word bank as, or in the AN rather, as a word bank, and the lot of them, in fact. So really creative and befitting of the poet which it is due. So thank you for that, Titus. Boo?
Oh, sorry. Wow, that was like mesmerizing, scary, and creepy, and well written all at the same time. I was blown away. Whoa. Just the beginning, Bill's not here to overt, nor instill life, conscience, or facade. I mean, that's just, wow. The whole thing is epic. Who did you say it's written for?
Keats.
Wow. Okay. That's what I thought you said. I really have to read this again to give you a better picture of this. I don't want to BS you, but so young at age 25 days. He died that young, for real?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that young.
Yeah.
About my age, isn't it? Yeah. What do you think?
A bit older than I. Yeah, that was something.
Yeah, right.
The story.
Oh, yeah. He left behind, so much. You may have read him and not even known it. The name is instantly recognizable, like Cher. You just have to say Keats. It's one of those one-word names that again, it's really a lovely tribute to the.
Yeah, right, like an ode to Nightingale. You probably read that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall. I just in Hollywood, when the main character wants to do poetry or whatever, they always throw his name around too. I'm remembering I think it was in Back to School when Dangerfield was trying to impress his teacher. He mentions Keats, but yeah, I appreciate Titus writing as well. He's I won't say he's as prolific as Keats, but he does a good job.
Yeah, you know the poem by Shelley Adonias. He is dead. That's that's an allegory for Keats on his death. that Shelley wrote in dedication to him, because they're both part of the romanticism movement at the time, and even though they weren't friends, because it was actually said that there are quite a few conspiracies surrounding his death and whose fault it was. And obviously Shelley was probably one of the most, punk artists ever, because he was like, sort of anti everything back when everyone was just getting along quite well. Not like today at all. Right. I think don't think anyone else is on the line because I think we're done.
The voice was amazing, though. I think the voice was incredible. So creepy.
Yeah, I think to end it, can we maybe do Budo's song, and then and then I think we just got two to carry over, and I'll just say that both of them, it's I think Ezekiel and Identity Crisis. Just to reiterate that it's always helpful if people put in there when they drop the poem on whether they're calling in or if they got if they need a reader.
Yeah.
Because some of the time I don't know, so I don't want to do them, and then it's because as Boo also said, there's various shows happening simultaneously, and we get that. And we don't want to restrict anyone. You're welcome to do whatever you want, but it makes it easier for us, and obviously we want to get you read, and we want to have your words
voice
resonate with all of us. So it just makes it easier for us. But we'll definitely carry those over, and so we'll just end on a song by Budo. You got that, Boo?
Yeah. Getting over there. Also, don't forget tomorrow's Linda, Janice Joplin, 10 o'clock. Open Poetry, Sunday, 9 o'clock. I'm going over here, too. So far, this whole notice is Budo, right?
Yeah,
thanks, Brack, for
again.
hanging, by the way. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, everybody, for writing.
All right, it seems Wayne showed up.
Oh, there's Wayne. Want to let Wayne read his?
Hey guys, what's up?
Right here. Let's see hey Wayne, what's up?
What's up, guys? How y'all doing? Sorry, I'm running late tonight. I've been working. They got me working till so much I ain't got time to do nothing anymore.
No problem.
Well, nice to hear y'all's voices. Nice to hear y'all's voices anyway.
We'll do yours. Cool. We're glad you came by. You want to drop yours off and we'll read yours? And then
I don't know. Yeah, it's got a SoundCloud. We can do it later on. It don't matter. Y'all run out of time. You might as well. I dropped it in your box. You said drop it in your box. I put it in your box, I think.
Oh, sure.
But anyway, don't worry about it. We'll do it later. I'm getting here so late it doesn't matter.
Okay, I'll download it for you for Wednesday.
All right. Sounds good to me. We'll do Wednesday. So nice to hear y'all's voice. That was a great poem by Titus. Titus had a great poem there a while ago. I got to hear it. It was wonderful. So you guys have a wonderful night, and I'll talk to you all in a little while.
No, you stick around. I'm going to hear Bud. You stay around. Okay. Oh. I'm looking for Bud. I mean, if you want, you don't have to. That was bitchy.
Yeah, I ain't got nowhere to go. I'm kind of kicking back. I ain't got nowhere to go.
Yeah, unless you want to read another one, then you can drop something else on if you want to.
Yeah, you want to read one of yours, please?
I don't know. I don't have one to read. I know right now, Cohen. I don't have one to pick. I have to pick one out. But
okay, we'll do Budo in the meantime, and then you can choose one if you want to, and you can let us know afterwards.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Let me focus. I got power. Okay. I don't see. I don't see Budo. What's it called?
Had to Cry Again.
Well, I feel like an asshole. Let's see. We started. I think it's a top, but yeah.
I can read mine if you want me to. No.
Hey, Wayne,
Yeah.
I got a spoon for you to move that mountain.
Yeah, you go first, Wayne. I can't.
Okay, you want to read the one I put up that I give you? Which one you got for you to read? Okay, I don't see it posted, but let's see.
Oh, you probably have to post it too. We're
There it is. Okay, there it is. I got it posted right there. It's posted.
Okay, cool.
You want me to read it?
Ready? Yep.
All right. This part. This point was it's when Jafar the wizard. You see his picture there. He was a genie, but he's really a wizard. He went to a school, and this is point about him going to school and come back for his an alumni meeting, and it goes like it's called a visitor from the past. It goes like this. Since my admission, never witnessed such a sight. It was late in the evening, but not quite night. We were alone, studying witchcraft by candlelight, when the watch hour wizard had taken the flight. We rushed to the window to see what was stirring about. As the gate swung open, the watchman began to shout, "All heed to the visitor, he's leavenous to us all." A coach slowly pulled in, headed to the stall. Coach door swung open, out a dark figure stepped. He was tall, slender, and seemed to be well kept. He didn't say much, answered with a nod of head. Journey was long, bowed as he headed off to bed. Next morning we were awakened with a heed to call. We were summoned together at the great magic hall. With an enchanted murmur as the students had to wait, how could it be the speaker was running late? Out came a stranger, he seemed no one knew. He looked shady and dark, and anticipation grew. Headmaster rose with both hands in the air to hush the crowd with a message to share. Said today we are blessed with a guest of our own. Last time he was here, he was about half grown. Southern should be proud of what this wizard did. He has performed well since he was a kid. He left here with honors bestowed with grace as he ventured out to assist the human race. Granted, there were times he used evil tricks, and some of the times he used magic for kicks. Now he was returned from his long voyage afar. We are glad to see the royal visitor, Jafar. He was Hogwarts' first graduating class. It doesn't matter that on the list he was last. Now let him speak and hear what Jafar has to say, for it is time to start the awaited reunion day. Jafar moved gently up to the podium to speak. Beady eyes moved back and forth as though to sneak. He raised his hands. The room was filled with mist. Then music started playing with a magical twist. Students amazed started dancing with the staff. Jafar, eyes glowing, leaned back with a laugh. Room felt quiet as Jafar stared and sternly spoke. There were no pleasantries. He didn't tell a joke. If you are to succeed, better learn witchcraft ways. Lean to the dark and never leave the graves. It is best to command others, never to serve, if you are to have the life that a wizard deserves. Use your magic to obtain what you desire to take. Remember to be loyal and to none, yourself not forsake. The words spoken were not lessons we learned. Their pleasant nature we did not want overturned. The students rose to jeer the words of Jafar. Headmaster had him deported in less than an hour. In?
Oh, you just missed Sky as well. She was just with us. Yeah, because you wrote that one for her. Everyone missed each other because earlier we had I think it was one of who was it, Lizzie's, that was for your contest. So it's been a night of near misses.
She's a much better poet than I am. She reads well. But anyway, that's one of my poems I put together for Jafar going back to this Disney meeting. Hogwarts.
Harry Potter.
Hogwarts, yeah. Harry Potter, yeah. Harry Potter meets Disney.
Yeah, I almost made a colonial joke, but that's not funny, is it? Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. The integration of storylines, which is again, it's similar to what Sky did as well with hers. But yeah, there's always just something. So again, like what we've been saying a few times this evening, I would say it is certainly a compliment that I gave to Raz. We're saying so, like if certain poets, like if I read Milton, I always know it's Milton. If I read Eliot, I always know. And with yourself, it's the same sort of thing. It's it's the effortless cadence, and it's just it's rhyme without. It's almost like you don't even notice it until you actually having it and you're reading it and you see the way that it's formed, but just the way that it just is seamless and the way that it sways. It's like someone's asked me the other day, like, is there any what do you think of American accents? And I was like, just sort of like, I don't know if it's like a southern thing or whatever, but like.
Does Americans have accents? I didn't know Americans had accents.
That's like someone was asking about the British. They were like, why do the British speak English? Don't they have a European language? That was quite funny.
The Brits got a great. You got a great accent. I like your accent. You got a great accent when you talk. So it's great.
But it's like a mutt, because it's just all these integrations from. My 4 grandparents are actually from 4 different countries in Europe. So, and I'm African. So there you go.
Wow.
A success story.
You sound British. You sound very British to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandparents are British actually, and my mother, and then my father's French. So, there. Yeah. What did you think?
My SoundCloud was a little better. My SoundCloud was a little better because I put more time in it and I slowed down a bit. But anyway, that's the gist of the poem.
Yeah, we can do the SoundCloud again on Wednesday, I guess, or.
Oh.
Maybe.
Well, I'll be back Wednesday then. How y'all doing?
Yeah, that was our strategy all along to just get you to come back again.
I'll be back. I got to get used to this new job. I think they're killing me with this new job, so I'm kind of getting used to it. But I have it figured out here pretty soon. I'm talking all day long. I got to talk all day long, so I get tired of talking after a while. Believe it or not.
Yeah, I appreciate you stopping in and taking the time for us. That we would be that lucky. Boo, what did you think?
Yeah. I think I like the story that you tell. I mean, it reminds me of something that you would read in a children's book, and it's very descriptive, and you don't need like any stone uncovered. Like the storytelling is really cute. I like how you named him Jafar. You finally get to that point there. Said today we're blessed our guest to own. Last time he was here, he was about half grown. And if you go down the progression of his growth, his life, and as he raised a hand, it was filled with myths, and the music started playing with a musical twist. It's a lot of fun to read. It's powerful, it's cool, and the rhyme is perfect. I thought you did a great job. Very creative. Wayne, thanks for calling.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me read it.
You're welcome.
Awesome. And Rack.
I forget which comedian it was that said, I don't have an accent. I just pronounce the words correctly.
That would be me.
Oh man, I like what you did with this. You did exactly what she asked. The whole crossover theory, and you did it in tongue-in-cheek Wayne style with deporting him at the end. It's really unexpected. That was a cool thing. But I mean, the way that you read, it's the cadence of it. It does have a natural flow to it, and like Rob says, you almost don't notice that it rhymes. But I guess some people do speak that way. What's his name? The rapper.
Billy Jim.
No. There was one of the rappers talks like that too. He's just got a natural. I think it's Snoop Dogg. It's just the way that he speaks. Yes, I'm comparing you to Snoop Dogg.
I'm a Snoop Dogg.
I guess you're a little more legible.
Oh no, I don't think so.
Anyway, that was a great story that you told. You did a good job with that. I mean, the two genres cross over nicely, and it was perfect to put Jafar into that position and that situation. It was lovely storytelling.
Thank you very much.
Great imagination.
It was fun.
Yeah, it's like I was listening to one of my favorite journalists, is a Canadian journalist, and he was talking about linguistics and speech and everything, and it's very well learned. I mean, he went to Oxford, and he's talking about Milton and Shakespeare and everything, and then he's talking about these fishermen from this Canadian small town, and he's saying the way that they speak and their their sort of play on words and their metaphors, and it's like there's something so beautiful and something so poetic to that, I mean, the same sort of thing that, when you think about, there's, I said this the last time as well, and I still can't think of his name, but one of the American senators that has the same thing. It just has these phrases, and it's almost like what you always think about. The differentiating between British and American comedy is the American comedy is always the main guy's got the one-liners, it's always like the winner, and then the British comedy it's always the loser, you get Mr. Bean, Fawlty Towers, it's always like
Monty Python.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then there's always that American thing with the one-liners, and it's that same thing that you get from. I think it might be a Southern thing. I'm not integrated in the culture well enough to know, but you do have those. You get those sort of town aspects of speech, which is delved into in very deep detail by this journalist, which is interesting to listen to. But yeah, it's certainly one of your defining and absolutely admirable qualities that you possess, when I've said it all along. So thanks for sharing that with us and stopping by.
Yeah, when I was taking speech in college, the speech teacher first heard me talk. He got so mad he dismissed class. So that's how good I was.
You give your
He said, damn it, I can't talk about that. Class dismissed. And just had to walk out there in shame.
Well, I can't find Bud with you anywhere. So.
Check that out. I think it's a YouTube song.
Now there's one right here, but because I can't see the title. Maybe this is it. Let me try, okay?
Again today, I don't
Oh, I love that. I love it.
Yeah, what did you think, Wayne?
I thought he's always great. He can always play music. Makes me. I got his greatest hits album that he put out. Or he didn't put out. He can't give it to me. So I get to sing all the time, and all his songs are great. I like him all the way through. So I got about 12 of his tracks put on one little tape, and I sit and listen to them quite a bit, and then they're great. Every time I hear them, they're great. He's a good artist.
Yeah, and Rack?
Yeah, I've definitely want the lingerie concession at his concert. He does a great job. Yeah, I mean, his voice is compelling. His lyrics are great. He tells a story, and it's always full of emotion. He's lovely to listen to.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's got that real sort of, it's always a lot trickier to write a song than people think. I mean, I have had some experience, and I definitely think his lyrics are, always. I'm just quite amazed and in above awe because it's so difficult to actually write a song. I think I would always write the lyrics, and then when I got to the music, I'll try and do like a George Martin thing and try and make guitars sound like pianos and pianos sound like guitars, and then get a whole orchestra in. At that point, the band were just like, "Nah, I'm not into this anymore," and I would just be like, a little bit like, I don't know if you know the Laws from England, that song, "There She Goes."
Yeah. Yeah.
So he was a bit like that. They said, to record an album with him was just impossible because he's like such a perfectionist and trying to get things and changing things. That's why they made one album. It was an amazing album, and then I think he went insane actually in the end because he was so sort of and yeah. So I think it's a lot harder than people think because to put it all together. But it's also obviously playing acoustic is a lot easier than doing. Getting didgeridoos in and getting Australian sort of Aboriginal instruments in. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. We've got 2 to carry over. As I said,
can I comment on that?
Yeah, sure. I was going to let you have the last word in a bit.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Rack and Wayne, for making time. Your busy schedule for us. Yeah.
My pleasure.
See you all soon, and have a great weekend. Tomorrow night,
You
obviously, as I said, 10 p.m. Eastern. Anything by
Janis Joplin.
Yeah, that's the one.
Janis Joplin. Oh, and I gotta say, "Who I Love You."
Oh, thanks, Wayne. Love you. Thanks to all of you guys for staying late and supporting us. And this song, is sad. Everything's just perfect around you, but it's not because you're missing that one person that you love, that you miss, that you know that you're never gonna see again. And then he says, how long he stay true? He almost feels like he has to stay loyal and faithful to the pain and to the hurt. And he's afraid to let that go because that means letting her go, I think. And I think it's very well done. And I could hear it on the radio. I love the chorus. I love the beat. I love the melody. Great song, but great way to end.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice night.
Thanks, everybody. See you guys tomorrow.
Bye. Yeah.